Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing this Thursday evening? It is hotter than July. No wonder Stevie wanted to make that song up. Because it's hot out there. What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Kerry Neal on Urban Birds and Bees, and we got a treat for you today. And you know what Urban Birds and Bees is. You know what we do here. We talk about love, relationships, dating, folks ghosting you, bad decision making, good decision making too, how you can identify who's great for you, who's not, and some of these dynamics that are kind of going on too. So, and we also tackle the conversations that most people are thinking about, but often too afraid to say it out loud. So, again, I'm Dr. Kerry Neal. Tonight's episode is guaranteed to challenge some assumptions. We're going to challenge some assumptions here today. We're going to spark a few debates and maybe even upset a few people, and that's perfectly okay because tonight we're talking about the 1 to 60 ROT, or the 1 to 60 ROT, the return to time theory. So let me say this before we go into introducing our guests. Okay. So just think about this for a second. So what if we evaluated relationships the same way we evaluate investments, right? What if time, not money, is the most valuable currency that we possess? Huh. Interesting, right? Or, and what if many people are spending decades investing in relationships that yield little to no return? Or can we talk about, are modern men and women asking too much or settling for too little? And why are some relationships produce legacy while others produce regret? And perhaps most uncomfortable of all, the question is, can you truly love someone and still be a bad investment to one another? Ah, this is pretty provocative already, right? Joining us tonight is a man who is no stranger to the platform of Urban Birds and Bees, and he isn't afraid to challenge conventional wisdom. Mar-El, his name is Marvin Long, but for our broadcasting purposes, we're going to refer to as Mar-El because he's an author, musician, and social commentator whose work explores modern relationships, gender dynamics, family, and personal responsibility. His perspectives have sparked passionate conversations because he speaks candidly about subjects many people tiptoe around: love, marriage, fatherhood, accountability, and shifting expectations placed on men and women. So, Mariel is also an accomplished creative working excuse me. He's also an accomplished creative working on a smooth jazz project. We'll ask him about that a little bit later. Uh, Proving that intellectual depth and artistic expression don't have to live in separate worlds. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, the one and only Mar-El. What's going on with you, Mar-El? What's going on with you, bro? What's up with you, man? What's up with you?
Dr.
How you
Neal, what's
doing?
good with you, man? Thanks for having me on the show. Uh,
Yeah. Say what's up to the people. You got a little few fans out there and a whole bit. Say everybody out there in Facebook land that's peeping you out and seeing what you got, what you're talking about tonight. They're all here. And we want to encourage you guys to ask questions. Feel free to chime in on Facebook Live or here on Zoom. It's a beautiful thing. We can't wait to get your response to some of the things we're going to talk about this evening. So with that being said, let's just dive right in. It's Thursday evening. Some people probably want to go out to the club and things like that. Let's kind of give them a little something spicy before they get to hitting the road out there. So let's just talk about this 1 to 60 ROT theory. Talk a little bit about that. So first of all, let me ask you. Okay, so first of all, what is it? And what's the genesis of how it came into being? And furthermore, that do you think people should think about relationships in terms of return on investment? So talk to us.
yeah, Kerry, thanks again for having me. I first want to start off, again, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, for sure.
I do want to say for the record, and I'm going to probably say it like intermittently through our conversation, this is not a bashing of women. It's certainly not putting men on a pedestal. And conversely, this is not a male bash and putting women on a pedestal. Of course, I am coming from a male perspective, be transparent about that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
have, a male lens, but it's still a unisex paradigm, especially in 2026, where before I even get to the rot theory, the conversation you and I have had candidly, the fact that women no longer marry for provision, right? They marry for purpose, which is what they technically should have always been afforded to or allowed to do. But there was a time for a long time that women didn't have the access that they have now. So now, you
So, you actually think women have sidestepped the whole idea of provision? That's not the motivating factor any longer?
not at all.
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean, like it is a factor.
Bro, you about to get they about to come for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right.
And it's funny, and you and I have had a lot of offline
Right.
conversations.
We have.
It's just about uh, being honest with ourselves. But let me just finish that point because I
Okay.
also say that men, watch this, conversely, no longer marry for um their own provision in a sense of, if a woman is fine and can, is she look child bearable, if you will, if I could say it like that. No, now women have to have a platform. You can't just walk in and be cute anymore.
Okay.
And, whereas before, for a long time in our, parents' generation, I mean, like she would, if you saw she was a good homemaker and she was cute, she was
Right.
pretty much in. Now, like, so guys require a lot more. So the pendulum has swung on both sides, but some conventions, I don't want to call them Geneva Conventions. That sounds war tones, right? But
Right, right,
there are a lot of dating conventions that have become archaic that we don't, and with that, we don't have a solution, or we're developing solutions, right? But just as a pendulum has swung, conventions do have to change. I think they have to be discussed. With that, full transparency, I look at my highs and lows, successes and failures. And, it wasn't until recent, until the last couple of years, that I assumed the same accountability for my failures as I did my successes, right? And I'm
Mhm.
talking in terms of relationships, right?
Right, right, right.
Whatever state I'm in, or I got here, I did this. Even in context of relationships, I put myself in these confines, if you will, right? So
Okay.
I think until people really take that first self accountability and really dig in, right? It was really eye-opening, and it helped me move and navigate completely differently than I did maybe 3, 4, 5, even 2 years ago, right?
Right.
Hence, I came up with the 1 to 60 ROIs. Maybe wondering, what is this? Now, a little
Yeah,
backstory.
yeah. Break that down. Break it down
Um,
for us. Break it down for
so
us.
I do have a math degree, right? And it's not so just FYI, just like, people are like, where is he getting this from? So
Right.
yeah, I am a professional problem solver by trade, just FYI. So I'm not talking on the side of my neck.
Right, 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 right.
It's not a deep equation, right? But the 1 to 60 ROT, and then that ROT does stand for ratio of time.
Mm,
Call it ROT just because it does have a negative overtone. What it means is, if we can be very transparent, and here comes fighting words. And again, I'm going to interject throughout this podcast. This is not a bash on anybody. It's not a bash
right.
on women. It's not putting men on a pedestal. And conversely, I'm not bashing men or putting women on a pedestal. But if we can be very transparent in relationships, guys, if they're very honest, their what their intimate needs are takes about 6 minutes. Now stay with me, right? And you can and
Okay.
we can figure that out. What men truly, really want from women, if we're really very candid, takes about 6 minutes. Some guys think they can, oh, I can go all night or whatever. That's cute, whatever. Blah blah blah. Right. Let's just be realistic. Let's just quantify it.
Yeah.
Takes what
Yeah.
men truly want. Um, their intimate needs from a woman, it's about 6 minutes. In return, women require about 6 hours. 6 hours of time, emotional energy, commitment before they decide, as if they decide to acquiesce to your emotional needs. Women's emotional needs, on average, take um, 6 hours. Now, that's 6 hours
Hmm.
in one setting, right? So stay with me before people start bashing. Let me just unpack it, right? Um, and men are expected to front load at 6 hours. That could be, you know, 4 or 5 dates. It could be a combination of, several dates, dozens of phone conversations, right? Extended length. The whole concept of getting to know, I'm putting in quotes, getting to know.
Right.
I know I'm taking a while to unpack it, but it's so contextual. Getting to know is lifelong, right?
Okay.
And like, brother, you and I have been friends for almost 15 years. And I still don't know your favorite color,
Right.
but it doesn't mean I don't know you, right?
Right.
I don't, you supported me in some very hard and tough and tragic times, and conversing that to you.
Right.
I do know important emotional uh, uh, pieces or components to you that are, invaluable. to what we consider what friendships are, right? So
Right, right,
the whole concept of getting to know is so relative, right? With that being said, that 1 to 60 is, for men, whatever for every minute, add on 60, multiply times 60. So if you want 6 minutes of your quote unquote emotional needs met or intimate needs met, just you have to do that. That's 6 hours at the bare minimum. And I'm just giving you a roundabout estimate. Although I gave you an actual quantifiable number, this
right,
round, but it could be longer for some women. It could be that 160 could be 1 to 600, meaning like, oh, he's not getting out for 6 months, whatever those rules are, right? But it's unfortunate because if men feel so men are expected to front load, and I'm not expecting women. I'm not saying women give him that 6 minutes first. That is not what I'm saying either, right? What I am saying is that it is a lopsided ratio for men have to have an expectation to do, and they may not even get their other side of the ratio. They might not even get their dividend, right? At
right.
any given time, at date number 5, she was just about to give in, but I saw how he talked to his sister and just turned me off completely. I'm just
Mm.
giving you just some kind of random
Yeah,
some Rumpelstiltskin. Oh, he's not getting it, like, and then he has to be the gentleman and really count up his losses. Like, I'm out of 5 dates. I'm out of, and even I haven't put the monetary piece on it, but I'm out of, hundreds of dollars, right? We even talked about, we said, you could say 1 to 60 where, you might have to spend $360, you know, um, and even that, as you say it out loud, women may get insulted to say, well, I'm worth more than $360. And again, it's not about the physical money, tangible money. It is about that time piece. When you go out on dates, um, it's funny. I have a list of 480 things, 83 things to do in Los Angeles. I've done all but two of them, right? So that's a lot of stuff to do. Um, some of those things are free, but not most, not all. And they may say, well, I don't mind doing free stuff. That's cute for about 2 dates. You go for a nice walk in the park. Oh, I had a great time. Okay. That's cute. Next time we're gonna go to this park and we're gonna go to this museum. She's looking to, well, can we at least get some coffee and maybe get some lunch? Like, just so here comes that extended return of time. This is, and I'm gonna give you the microphone back by saying this.
okay,
Okay, in fairness, that's what the chivalrous gentleman is supposed to do. Fair enough.
okay.
So what is a sophisticated lady supposed to do in return? Now, I don't have an answer,
Right.
right? But you see how there's a lot of front loading that men are expected to do with really no return of time, because you could say or do the wrong thing, or she may even still have her last boyfriend on her brain, and just as she's trying to maybe get with you to um, detach herself from him, he comes back and says the right thing and do the right thing, or does something that puts you on the back end for another month or two, right? Just, yeah. So um, the gist of it is, if you're not moving with intentionality as a man, count up the loss, quantify it, and see if it's worth it, because it is very expensive, and it's not just expensive; it's time consuming that you cannot get back. That weekend that you should have been practicing for that, maybe intramurals game you spent with a young lady trying to get to know, and it didn't work out. You spent this time and money, and you can't get it back.
Okay, okay. So, I mean, you said a lot there. So, first of all, I just kind of want just so that the audience is very clear on what he just said. Okay, and then
Translate, translate.
then when yeah. So, for every 1 minute that a man desires to have with a woman in an intimate setting. So it sounds you're referring to sex. It doesn't probably have to be sex, but typically speaking, we're talking about sex, right? So the duration of the sexual or intimate experience that the man is sort of craving with the woman, right? For every minute of time to have that type of time with the woman, that typically it takes 1 hour of time to achieve the 1 minute. So if he wants 6 minutes with her, to your point, maybe a ballpark average of the actual physical encounter, particularly maybe like the first time around, right? You're suggesting that that takes like 6 hours, but the math equation is one equals six, so six equals 60, right? In
Well,
terms of minutes, in terms of minutes, right?
right, but
Uh,
it's 1 to 60 though. So because so,
one
so
to six, one to six. I'm sorry, one to sixty.
yeah, 1 to 6. No, so
No, 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 one to six. Yeah, yeah.
it's 1 to 6. Go ahead.
So and then you also saying ballpark ballparking it as well, that for that 1 minute as well, not only cost him an hour or 60 minutes, that it'll also cost him, give or take, 60 bucks, $60 on average. I'm telling you, I think this is actually quite insightful. Now, just for the record, I just want to make it very clear. So these are things that you are ballparking through your experience and maybe conversation with other people. Have you done any type of scientific research or anything like that sort of quantified? Did you have a sample size and whatever else? Anything
My
like
bank accounts. No.
that?
But no, there's no, I mean, like this could be its own case study. These are conversations we're having. These are podcasts.
Okay, so
You're a whole doctor. I mean, I got, I have degrees. I'm not a doctor in this field of study, right?
but
But
you haven't actually conducted an actual experiment to yield these results. But this is from
Mhm.
your lived experience, conversations with other men, experiences, things like that. That's where, and I would probably gauge that most men would not necessarily argue with that.
If we're being honest, and again, this is a ballpark sample, right?
Right.
But again, if we're having candid, crucial conversations, when you look at it on paper, that's what it kind of equates to. No matter,
Boy, I can
no matter,
imagine what some women going to say about this
yeah.
one.
I mean, now they want, yeah, women, I know they're quick to say that I'm worth far more than that. I'm not saying you're not. That is not the conversation. But on
Okay.
average, that is kind of pretty much how it spends, because especially that time. And think about 10 years ago, an average date bill might have been $90. An average date bill now is going to run you at least 120, 150.
Yeah. Yeah. But you
That's
know
it.
what? I want to talk more about the swell of time, which is interesting, right? Because I mean, talk about a swelling, so to speak. I think it's not uncommon that we as men, let's say that we have there's a young lady that we're pursuing, and we find her quite attractive in a variety of ways. And so there is sort of this anticipation, is almost as if nothing else matters, depending upon how much of you have control over your loins, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
To what degree are you keeping things into perspective, or are you just going for the conquest, right? And while I would like to say this is probably more indicative of younger men, that's not necessarily the case at all. Not the case at all. So why do you believe that time is more, or do you believe time is more valuable than money? And if so, talk to us why that thinks that's the case, particularly in this
I,
theory.
I think as you get older, time becomes more valuable because you have less of it, for starters.
Right, right,
As older, you tend to have a little more money than you were when you were younger. So, you could blow the money, right? Because you had the time. I mean, like, a 25-year-old man has far more time, in theory, than a 50-year-old
right,
man does,
right,
right? Conversely, in theory, a 50-year-old man has far more money than a 25-year-old man. At least we like to think that. I mean, today's times it's tight everywhere, right? But just for conversation and context, right?
right.
So yeah, more to blow. But I'm proposing that both are, although time as you get older is more valuable, they both are just as valuable, right?
Hmm.
And yeah, so I mean, like, if you want a hard answer, I'm saying as you get older, time becomes more important than money. Um, but they both are relatively equal, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you something. So when people hear your theory, what do they usually get wrong? I assume I'm not the first one to hear this, whatever else. So you probably shared this in some small talk conversation. But when they hear your theory, what is it? Something typical? I mean, and you're kind of making some corrections even now, just sort of clarifying some things like you're not trying to say a woman's not worth a certain amount of time and things like that. But what's some common themes of what you sort of hear when you share your theory? Because this is quite interesting, my guy.
I mean, most people think, you lost your mind completely, and no, I haven't. Right? No, I haven't at all. So let me just go just from the male. Of course, the male was quick to say, "Yeah, man, yeah." When you unpack it, they're like, the yeah becomes, "Wow, man, I never thought about it like that." But
Yeah,
if I really think about it like that, you actually, like, as you said earlier, you actually are more true than you are false.
yeah,
When I look at and evaluate, and again, 'cause notice what I said, those 6 hours, they don't necessarily mean the date is 6 hours, but it means the phone conversations, the going out, the meet and greet, and that's just and that's and your the expectation is you front load. And again, these are the rules of engagement. I mean, so it is what it is. You either don't engage or it's part of the engagement. But my what I'm trying to purport is really think that through. Now, when I talk to females, of course, they're like, yeah, first initially, you lost your mind completely. But then those who are, actually are objective, right? And just kind of take a step back. Some will say, well,
so you're just saying the ones that don't agree with you are not objective? What are you
no, I
saying?
said but the ones who are objective, right?
Oh,
Who do
okay.
who do they'll take a step back and process it, right? And some of the responses are, well, I don't take 6 hours. I mean, at least give me, like if a guy gives me an hour, but I'm like, even that, like it sounds true. Like the intention is there. Yeah, I mean, like I'm not that needy. Um, but yeah. Think about, let's say if we really quantify it, let's just take time to it. Think about, for a woman's level of comfort, how many phone conversations you need to feel comfortable with this man. How many times you need to go out to feel comfortable, man. And let's not even take say, let's just say maybe the first kiss. How long before the first kiss? So if you quantify in terms of dates, there's time right there. If you identify it in terms of phone conversations, there's
Right.
time right there, right? If
So,
you
so
identify,
I've always heard this theory that says what they said that women are crock pots and men are microwaves, right? So I guess that kind of goes along with your theory.
right.
And now this is interesting. Well, let me ask you this. So as you continue to share your theory, I'm just curious. Let's talk about romance for a second. Do you think that we have romanticized sacrifice to the point where people remain in bad investments far too long, particularly when you talk about the investment that is to get to where we need to go and things like that? And then I want to talk about, being intentionality, but go ahead, answer that.
Um, and I'm only pausing because you made a good word, intentionality, right? A lot of times we approach dating, male and female. We don't date with intentionality. We say we do, we don't.
Right.
If you're, and I like how this is the crux of our conversation.
The
If
intentions
you're,
for that night, that's the intention, right?
the intentions for the now, like,
Yeah.
watch this. From one perspective, I like him. He not getting none.
Right.
He's cute. Great conversation. He not getting none, but I like spending time with him,
Right.
right? The male, it's like she fine, and I know she ain't give me none, but I'm gonna work hard in the most gentleman way to change her mind, right? As a example. Let me make a point about the whole intentionality.
Right.
If male or female, if your desire is to get married, right, then you gonna have to approach dating with a whole other lens than just dating and maybe having a relationship, right?
Right. Right.
Now, talk about, what's talking about the overarching thing is always be honest with ourselves and honest what our intentions are. There's nothing wrong with just saying, I would like a lifelong companion. That's not a wife or a husband. That's a companion, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. So but be honest and say that. If your intentions are not marriage, as a male or female, articulate that. You're not a bad person. You're not a bad person. If anything, you're an honest person, which is makes you more trustworthy. Or,
Right.
but now if your intentions are marriage, right, you need to also make that known, but then articulate what does that success look like? So a lot of times, and I have to shout out the organization nonprofit I used to work for that we always they was trauma informed youth development. They always talk about intentionality and knowing where you're going. For one, you cannot hit a moving target, and then more importantly, you can't even hit a target. You don't even know the target is there, right? Because say for example, you do want to get married, even whether you're 25 or 35, 44, or 50, you need to be articulate. You need to be able to articulate to yourself first, what does a successful marriage look like? Number one.
Right.
But then number two, okay, once you feel that you have actually established this, there's two more movements. What are the steps I need to take as a person desiring marriage to get there? You need to be able to quantify what those steps are, or at least have a fundamental pathway.
Right.
Then
Right. Right. Right.
conversely, or unilaterally, um, identify what are the steps you feel that your spouse will need for it to be a successful marriage, right?
Hmm.
There's nothing wrong with quantifying this. No, that's why we have failed relationships. We go with the flow. That is the problem. I'm not saying be mechanical and be about it, but at least be methodical enough to have an idea of where you're going, what you're doing. Not too long ago, I interacted with a young lady, great conversations. Um, but like after I think the fourth conversation, she tapped out and she said, I'm looking for this right here. You're a great guy, Marvin, but you can't give me quite what I need, so I'm not going to. I don't know. She
Well,
didn't
I'm just
say,
curious. So, what were you not doing where she said you had four dates and you struck out? What was that she was expecting that you apparently weren't doing or whatever that was?
I think one of the big ones was, I think she wanted kids, right?
Oh, okay.
But she didn't want kids right now, right? When
Okay.
she realized that, obviously I'm a father and I've already had kids and all that. So when she realized that this guy really can't have kids, let me go on. I don't care how nice and fun it is. Let me just step out, right? Because what I don't want to do is resent him, right? Resent the situation. And that was very mature, right? I can respect that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Because when we first met, it was more that I mean, I'm cool. I don't need kids right now. I'm all right. I'm not even thinking about it, right?
Right.
But, she started evaluating, hey, you know what, if this gets some real traction,
Well,
then,
I mean, did she not wait till the fourth date to find out that you didn't want to have kids?
oh no, I told her to lay on the front end. But like I said, no,
Okay.
I said earlier, she
So
said,
she
well,
was trying to see if she could deal with it, and I guess she kind of came to the conclusion. Well,
right.
okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fair.
yeah.
That's fair. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Mar L, and we're talking about the 1 to 60 ratio of time, or excuse me, rate of time. That's an acronym, ROT. With um, there's an amazing gentleman here, Mar L. But I was going to say really quickly, we were talking about, and why I mentioned intentionality, because here's one thing I guess this kind of makes sense why intentionality might be a good thing to do, right? Because if you date with intentionality, any investment that you're making in a person, particularly if it's starting to build and things like that, that's a beautiful thing, right? Because that's going to be the person that you're going to be with, right?
Right.
So I guess if you're trying to have these 6 minute episodes with multiple people, that's a lot of time wasted, and a lot of money wasted too. What are your thoughts about that?
Hallelujah. No, I say that because, yeah, no, you shouldn't, I'm not advocating, you had the most, but watch this, going back to men have to front load.
Right,
So hence, watch the disconnect. And again, I'm giving it to an uncut. Most men probably won't say this, and this is not all men's sentiment. I want to say to the record, this is not all men's sentiment. But once they process that rule and really unpack it, a lot of guys will invest. I won't say the divide and conquer, but it's kind of like they invest. And if watch this, let's say they've gone out on 3 dates
right,
already. He has the expectancy that he wants some eventually, right? I mean, if we're gonna just, this that's just, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but let's just,
right,
be very candid. Like, so now he almost now he's gonna put in more, I'll make a word, elusive work, spend more time
right,
because now I watch this. Now I gotta get my ROI in the back of his ROT in the back of his head. I've
right,
I've already given 5 hours. And again, I'm giving quantified numbers, but I'm just really just giving you a snapshot of the amount of time. I've already invested this much time. I've already gone on this much dates, Now, am I saying it's all about the sex? I'm not saying that either. That is
right,
not what I'm saying, right?
right.
But I'm going to detour because it's contextual. Another situation where I took sex off the table.
Okay.
I told her I didn't even want to. How about we're not even, I don't even want anything from you. I just want to spend time with you and get to know you.
Okay.
Right. It wasn't I wasn't trying to run an experiment on her,
Right.
but I took it off the table. Right.
Right.
When she felt comfortable, she wanted to put it on the table.
Oh,
And then got mad because I didn't want to put it back on the table. I'm like, no, I thought we were getting to know each other. I thought we would learn each other. What's wrong with you not enjoying spending time and getting to know and learn about me? What happened to getting to know? We haven't spent time with each other. Well, I feel like I'm ready now.
uh,
Aha.
mm.
You're ready now.
Well, of course, it goes at her cadence, right? It goes at her cadence, right? Forget your
But
cadence. No.
and that's fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not, you know, but if but notice how I took that one out the equation. So now the equation is not even 0 to 60, it's just 60, right?
Right.
But if I add that one now she's ready to add that one in. That one, that extra minute or 6 minute, whatever. It's like, how about we take it off the table?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Um,
So let's kind of transition here for a second because I mean,
sure.
first of all, the theory is very prolific and profound, right?
Mhm.
And your ideas are deeply personal. So if you don't mind sharing with our audience, tell us about your own journey, like about some of your failures and successes that you've had in the dating um, that has frankly shaped your philosophy of the 1 to 60 rate of time.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a divorcee, right? For starters, I do have, of course, I have children. I actually have multiple mothers. I don't have 20 mothers, like that, like that. But you
Why don't
know,
you just be specific so because
yeah.
everybody
So
will
I have,
love
so I
what
have,
I
so I have three,
mean.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I have three mothers. I have four children. Like most of
Okay.
them, they all are both grown. So now I'm on the back end of it,
And married with twice, right?
or twice,
Married
right?
twice, yeah.
So,
So you got some
bad call it.
intel to draw from
Let's say the infamous word baggage. They call it. You want to call it that, right?
for
But
experience.
I
My
mean, yeah,
God, experience.
I'm being silly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. More experience, right? But so even that it comes from obviously a lens of, and the word divorce means divide by force. So even though the new wave is that prepared you and you learn, it is a fail. Most people don't. I didn't get married to divorce, right? I
Sure,
think it's safe to say that most people don't get married to get divorced. That's kind of counterintuitive. Things didn't work out,
sure.
right? Things didn't work
Yeah,
out. And you go from there. You don't need to unpack the whys or what have you. I still believe in the institution of marriage.
right.
Still an advocate for marriage. I would love to be married again. You know, uh,
Yeah,
and
would you marry again?
oh, definitely. I mean, like two
Okay,
heads are always even on this, like two heads are always better than one. I just how I believe is that, yeah, you have to move with uh intentionality, you know. Um and going back to what I said earlier about one of the ladies said, well, can you what if you just invest an hour? Can it be like one to one or 1 hour to, and I said, that I said, I get your sentiment, but now watch this. Something else I've learned about normal. That's wrong, that's a strong word. In most situations,
right.
when you bring in that intimacy element, it changes the dynamic.
Yeah, it does.
It naturally, so
Blurs the
it
lines
it
and
blurs
everything
lines. Let
else.
me finish. Let me get a little. I won't say biological, but a woman's body naturally gets attached to you,
Yeah,
right? I mean, like, it's a natural process. What I'm saying is not. I'm not like dissing or anything like that. So hence I understand the reservation because again it kind of takes you through all these changes, which I totally get. But unilaterally, a man, if he's out there just playing the field, then accept that 1 to 60 and deal with what comes with it, right? But if
right.
he really, and as you just said earlier, that's a whole lot of time and a whole lot of money that you're gonna have to spend. Yes, yes, you are. Yes, she was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
but before you just but
okay.
if he is serious about, intentionality, getting married again, then I'm giving that number so that man or even that woman can see how valuable each other's time really is.
Yeah,
And money. I
yeah.
mean, like, money too, but like you said, that time factor. I mean, like, I don't, I'm gonna get something very simple. Male and female, we're getting to know each other on the phone.
Hmm.
Um, if we talk for an hour,
Right,
we could have been working out, or working on themselves, you know what I'm saying? Or working on themselves, wherever it is. Like, if you're trying to lose weight, you can't lose weight by what you doing. Nothing. How was your day? How's mom? How's the dog? No, if that's your workout time, work out, right? Um,
but she
and
was Ozempic. You don't need all that, bro. You can't just sit around.
I
No.
mean, again, everybody's kind of taking that. That's a good piece too. Everybody's trying to take the easy way out. If
Right,
I if I if I could, really, round this little piece out of it, because if you value both the man and woman equally, value their time, like just as woman values her body, obviously so, naturally so.
right.
Both the man values his time because you are literally spending it, and if you don't, get what you really truly want from that woman, I mean, yeah, you kind of you out of a whole lot that you cannot get that back.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can't get that. Even the money, you can make more money, but think about that money you could have invested in whatever. You could have, paid off. You were 4 payments away from your student loans being paid off, but you took one of those payments to, go out and hang out.
yeah. And you know what's interesting? It's obviously. I think you're right. When you get older, you start to really appreciate wow, time, the value of time, and keeps things in perspective. One of the things I would say, regardless if your theory is spot on or maybe an over exaggeration, as a concept, is something to think about, particularly for men. And we're going to get to this whole thing because while on one hand it sounds like we're low key trying to blame women, no, we're not. It's a
Oh,
thing about us men. We need to get our stuff together. But I'm curious. Obviously you talk about some of the relationship you had in the past, and children that have resulted. So if you could speak to your younger self about relationships, I'm just curious. Like, what would you say? Would you, looking back, what produced the greatest return on your time? Talk to us. What would you say to the younger Marvin?
yeah, unequivocally, I'm a Christian. I'm always champion that.
Okay.
God's way is always the best way.
Mm,
And sin is not unto death. That's why Jesus died. I ain't trying, like, I am preaching gospel. Why not? Jesus died for our sins, right? But this is my own statement, or a generalization, but I'm going to say it like this. Jesus paid the price of sin, right? Meaning you get access to heaven, but he did
right.
not absorb the debt of it. If you kill somebody here on earth, you may still make it into heaven, but you still got to go to jail.
Yeah, you got to pay the price, right?
You
Yeah,
still, you still got to pay the price, right?
right.
So if you choose not to do things God's way, where that, albeit in relationships, God may give you grace, but you still got to pay the recourse of, if you have premarital unprotected sex, a baby comes out, that's a consequence.
Yeah, yeah.
Watch this. The consequences of divorce, you know, um, they have their consequences,
Mm,
right? It's not, I mean, like, again, it's there are provisions, and no, you still can make it into, you can make it to that city, but they are consequences. And when I say God's way, the best way, it's all around, even things like health,
mhm.
right? If you are eating and gluttoning, and eating, Twinkies late night, or not taking care of your body,
Right.
right? It has a consequence
Yeah,
that
it does.
you still can make it to heaven, but you go have whatever health complications that come from those bad health choices, as example. So I'm saying, like, when I tell my younger self, and it's funny, I know, but I was on that path. I was on that straight and narrow for a very, very long time. I kind of got derailed, and again, I take full
But
accountability.
let's talk about that. If you can,
Mhm.
if you can recall, what caused sort of that pivot or that being derailed, so to speak? So you're on the right path, and then you went on like on another path. What do you think was the catalyst behind all that?
Yeah, I'm laughing because it's an honest answer. I was a virgin. I was 22 years old. That's a long time for a young man. And
What?
I was actually trying to save myself for. my wife, like whoever I married, right?
Okay.
It didn't work but once that light switch came on, it just a game changer. It just, like I mean, like the forbidden fruit, if you will. That was
All
my
that passion was pent up in you,
I won't say all that, but like
and you
basically,
and you
you know,
unleashed it.
yeah, but like it because yeah, you tell you Alicia and Drag, I mean, we were funny, but not funny, but I'm saying, but at the same time, I was woke, right?
Right.
Like I, it did give me new empathy. It's like now I understand why guys are doing what they're doing. Why guys shoot and watch this. Back then, it was no 1 to 60 ratio. While I was a virgin, it was like 0 to 1,000. Like it was open ended. Like I look back in retrospect, those ladies love hanging with me because of the fact that I buy them flowers, cards, and candy, and just wanted to get to know. Meanwhile, 6 months later, they come up pregnant by somebody else who just take them to McDonald's. Like I'm like that's a whole other conversation. But
Yeah, a whole
um,
different conversation.
yeah. But to answer your question, I mean, like I once that light switch came on, man, it just changed. Like just yeah.
Did
So
you feel
that's
like,
pretty
I'm
much.
curious, did you feel like you needed to, because there may be some other people may feel the same way too. I mean, that's actually pretty extraordinary. You were 22 years old and they hadn't had sex yet, which is, obviously people like saying, what? No, I can't believe it. Any man would go that long without having sex. Did you feel as though that when the light came on, so to speak, and you were exposed, did you feel as though you had some time to make up, so to speak, that you had to make up for lost time, so to speak?
N no. My
Like I
no,
should have
no,
been doing
no,
it a
no.
long time ago, but yeah,
No, no,
young
because
way of thinking.
I mean, I really no, I mean, like because I was I was trying to live that Christian walk, if you will. I really was.
Got it.
My goal was to present myself just as women present themselves as a virgin. I wanted to present
The-
myself as a virgin as a husband, right? That was really
Right.
the goal. That was that. So that was totally spiritual. I was still
Okay.
struggling. What I mean, like like we're grown. I'm gonna say it. Like I can't think now. In the meantime, I can't tell you how many nights I left those getting to know dates with blue balls. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to get anybody, but please believe I was just as, I'm in my 20s, of course I'm just as thirsty and
So
and
you
and,
when you
and
got
craving it,
your
right?
marriage, your first marriage, you were in your 20s?
Yeah.
You got married? Okay.
Yeah. But
Okay.
I would say but my but I was so I got married fairly young, but like I would say I kind of, really went hard, whatever road you want to say went down after my first divorce, like because I
Hmm.
was I was between my first divorce and second marriage is about 13 years.
Yeah.
So it's about 13 years of just, single,
Yeah.
single, and all that came with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But
Um,
we're not gonna get you to divulge all your
yeah,
stuff on this
no,
podcast. We just
no,
kind of want to get it this
yeah.
the scope. But let's do this real quick. Let's pivot. Let's talk about modern dating, just generally speaking. Um, Question: Has modern dating become fundamentally broken? What are your thoughts on that?
Uh, clarify that just a little more, just because there's so many ways I can answer that. I just want to just clarify that a little more, like, what I'm
Well,
saying.
that I think it's interesting because, we'll say dating, and oftentimes we have to like sort of define what we mean by dating. And I think something so crucial to life and special to all of us that there still is an introductory ambiguity to it, right? That we don't really know. And, I think we're bringing a lot of expectations to the dating platform in terms of what a man should do, what a woman should do, what expectations are, the financial things, and so forth. Do you trust? Whatever else. Maybe we got some unresolved stuff in our system. And I say that almost rhetorically because I'm thinking like it is fundamentally broken, particularly if you're listening to stuff on social media. But I was just curious what your lens was on that in terms of looking at today's dating landscape, generally speaking.
Well, as I said earlier, the pendulum has swung, right? We're talking about that provision piece and,
Right.
not being for provision, and likewise men requiring women now to have a portfolio and all that stuff. There's unfortunately there's a competition. It's like we're competing against each other.
Right.
That's what's very, very unfortunate about dating. Now, I do want to put an addendum here because it's very important. Um, two agendas. One, this is not a we're not bashing women. We're not putting men on a pedestal. Conversely, we're not getting men, scot free. I'm just sharing, my own personal perspective, but a lot of men who, in my experience, have had uh, similar lens. They just, were not in a safe space to articulate it, right? For whatever reason, looked at a certain way or whatever. But, I'm giving it to you. This is kind of, what we think. But with that being said, um, it is a sense of brokenness. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Um, Dating, it's funny how you notice how, and please indulge me, Kerry. I know you've been doing good at asking me moderating questions, but I'm not
Right.
going to reflect on you. But think about how many times, think about you meet somebody, right? And this happened to me, like, oh my God, where okay, I'll go out on a date, right?
Right.
Nice lady, not necessarily a love connection, go our separate ways.
Right.
See her out maybe with her friends a couple months later, just random, right? I see her friend is cute. Me and that young lady, we have no, we understood we're just not a good fit. She's quick to say, "Oh yeah, we dated 2 months ago." No, we went out on a date. That's not dating. We went out on a date, and it doesn't give you the right to mark your territory. Say we dated. No, we went out on a date, right? So this whole concept, I'm only teeing that up because like let's say relationships. Let's say are we in a relationship with
Crystal agrees, but she gave you a thumbs up on that, bro.
but no, let me like no like I think it should be coined not dating. Don't coin it dating. Coin uh you know I don't want to make up new words, but call it relationship vesting. Going back to this 1 in 60 rot. Do you want to engage in this 1 in 60 rot? And I'm not trying to objectify it like that, but that's kind of what we're doing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because um It's like so many random experience I can give you, like where going back to that one where I took that sex off the table, like
Right.
we're just friends. I'm not your man. And no, you can't mark your territory. Even if I'm still engaging you and we go out, because we're friends, we're not dating, I'm not your man. If your friends say, girl, is he single? You better say yes. Don't
Yeah.
I'm not your boyfriend, and that's not fair. But these are some of the dynamics that we have to deal with where women don't because they're not 1 in 60. They're trying to like build up no get you that y'all at minute three, so I guess 180. So she's like, well, it's, I still got 180 more minutes with him before I decide if I'm gonna give him some or not. Like that's not fair. No, but it goes to how much intimacy matters.
Hmm.
And now if we're dating if we're trying to have a relationship moving towards marriage,
Right.
right? Let's if we're gonna be exclusive, let's unpack what exclusive looks like, right? Because um, you know, women look at exclusivity as far as you're not seeing anybody else. But as a man, I could easily say, you're not emotionally engaging anyone else.
Right.
Watch. And I gotta stick it just only cause. You're not spending extra time and giving emotional energy to that gay best friend you have.
Hmm.
Because
Interesting.
he's safe. You spinning off ideas off of him, and you're going to him when I don't act right, and no, it's sort of many when we talk about exclusivity, we got to really, really, ooh, we're gonna unpack it. We got to unpack it. If we're going to be fair, right? Or more importantly, be honest. You know,
Right.
if we don't, and notice how I said earlier in the cast, it's okay to um, you know, map out your not just your path, what your success looks like. Because one thing, and I didn't get to finish the statement, but when you map out your success path to success,
Right.
you may realize if you're very honest with yourself, you know what? I'm not ready for that path yet. I'm not ready for that as a person.
Hmm.
How can I expect this person to, you know, do, how can I have all these expectations of this person? And I'm not willing to do my own work. And
Right.
I'm not even willing to do a fraction of the work I require of them.
Yeah.
All because you're
Yeah.
cheating, all because you're, huh? Is that, I don't know. Is that fair? I don't know. Maybe it's fair to you. I'm just not doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. For those who just joined us, just when we're talking to Mar L, and he has a very interesting perspective. This podcast is called the 1 to 60
Rot,
Rate, is it right? It's called ROT, and that
rot,
stands for rate of time, ratio of time.
ratio time.
Ratio of time. And his
But
theory is,
you
say it
call it the
again?
160 rot just because it sounds negative. Although we unpack it, you can see the positivity in it. I want to have a negative. I wanted to just because yeah. So when you say it, yeah, it
So
just
we
makes
want to
it
keep it the
process.
160 rod. So that's what we call it, the 160 rod. And
Yeah,
we
now you
also
say
had
what it
talked
stands
earlier about what you're saying that you're riding away your time. But just for you guys who may have just joined us, the
for.
theory is for every 1 minute a man desires to have with a woman, typically sexually speaking, or in an intimate context, he has to spend like 60 minutes to achieve that 1 minute to get her to a place of that. So, and so now I think we should also clarify too, because again, I'm sure there is, as I said earlier, that we're low key trying to say something about women. I think you're really just this is a bullseye message for men at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Am I right about that?
Yeah, just ladies, yeah, I mean, I know it may sound like it, but this is all about a male accountability,
Yeah, yeah.
because if he really values his time and his money, of course, his money, I mean, that's a given, he won't be lascivious.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
strong word, but it's honest. You're not going to have, even though we find ourselves doing this, you're not going to be investing that hour upon hour upon hour of, 4 or 5 women. Yeah, it's because it can be time consuming and financially taxing, right?
So let's talk about that really quickly because this whole idea, do people really date for love or lifestyle upgrades and validation? One of the top songs that has hit the charts that is skyrocketing that India Irie had some issues with is by Young Miami called "Spin That." So, which they were my scamming a niggas. And people have had, I'm telling you, if you play it, everybody rushing to the dance floor. So it's a hit song. But, it does sort of shine the sort of spotlight on, what is this all about? Is this about money grab? It's almost like if, well, women are like saying, well, if you come to us about sex, you better pay my bills. And there seems to be a resounding, consistent theme about that. So I'm curious, from your perspective, has social media destroyed our ability to even appreciate ordinary people, meaning that they're not balling, they're not buying you a burger bag on a first date. And so far, I was talking to a friend of mine, and those who are not in Los Angeles probably don't know about this restaurant. It's called Crustacean that's in Beverly Hills. First date. Oh, I love seafood. Why don't we go to Crustacean? So I guess depending on what type of lifestyle you are. But what are your thoughts about that? Do you think social media and some of these other trends have just you know if you're not that 1% guy that folks ain't checking on, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I'd say it's very dark, but it's there's a parallel to this,
Yeah, talk about it.
and that is Will Smith said it best. Um, when you talk about race, he was talking about racism. He said racism isn't changed. Racism is now being viewed.
Right,
We see social media has exposed the racism that's already been. Think about the racial injustice that we've had as Black people, Black men. You may hear about this young man being hung, or this happening. Like people still being hung. That actually got caught on camera, or what I'm saying, somebody had some media footage. But think about it. Think how much of it is actually going on.
right,
Hallelujah, that camera person, whoever it was, managed to clasp a very, very unfortunate moment,
right,
right, of the problem that exists, right? With that being said, unilaterally, no, not all women are, spin that. That is not what we're saying, but her song just exposed what a lot of people they spin it's going on. It's just that now we just glorify it, right?
yeah.
I mean, like just like
And it's spin that DAT, not THAT.
right,
Dat.
right, right,
Spin that.
right. So that I'm not gonna call it foolery, but whatever you want to call it, she's just exposing what's going on now. Is it
But
saying
because it's number one, it's just a mere reflection of society, and she was bold enough to put it out there, right?
right now? Is that all that's going on in society? No.
No.
That's that no, no. But it's significant. It's just like think about how many times you go to a comedy show
Right.
and the comedian says something that, everybody's got a general laugh, but you are dying laughing. And the reason, number 9 times out of 10, the reason why you're dying laughing because you know what he said is so applicable to you.
Yep. Yep.
Like it's extra funny to you. It's like, wow, he called it out and
Right.
made comedy out of it,
Right.
right? I think about and I'm because notice I would never ever disclose names, not important. This is
Right.
recent. I went to a restaurant bar and there's a and I'm going just to tell you the nature of the beast. Now, I like to think I'm a decent looking guy, a handsome guy. Well, at least back in the day I was, you know what I'm saying? But even as an older man, I mean, I think, I'm zaddy or whatever you want to call it, nice looking guy. But anyway, I'm at the bar and this young lady walked in with her friends and she looked at me and was like, she was younger. She's probably like in her late 20s. And I was like, why is she looking at me? And she was like waving and waving. I was like, okay. All right. I went to the restroom. She as I come back, she told me to come over there with her girls.
Right.
So just as I'm coming back, she orders around for her girl. She's like, no, I got this. And she starts talking to me. And then she's like, what you want to drink? I was like, really? She said, yeah. So, got me a little drink or whatever.
Right.
So I'm talking. We're talking more and more. And probably about at 5 minutes into the conversation, this is no exaggeration. She's like, so you gonna get this round for us? I'm gonna get the next round. Did you process what I just said? She actually finessed. She thought she was gonna finesse me to pay for the drinks that she ordered for her girls. That she said that initially the round was on her. Right.
Right.
In the conversation, she was like, yeah, you get the so yeah, go ahead and get this round. I get the next round for us for sure. I said, excuse, huh?
Bruh, I can't. I
And,
can't,
and
bruh.
this was like
Bruh.
this is 2026. And I said, I'm sorry. I said, didn't you just ask me that one? She's like, yeah. I said,
What makes you think I want to like?
but watch this. Although what she did might have been grimy,
Right.
she she has done that before, obviously.
Oh, of course.
Like I'm not exempt,
Right.
right? I'm not. She had me thinking. I was like, well, maybe okay, maybe but it was just, and I got insulted. I couldn't get mad, as I understand it is what it is. But I did kind of get insulted. I was like, for you to look at me as a victim,
Right.
But I felt bad because what I felt bad about was how many guys were like, okay.
She's using your ego against you.
But the thing is, Dr. Neal, how many other guys have been susceptible to that? Because
Yeah.
that wasn't the first time she tried that,
Right.
And when she and so um now I'm at a place where I'm a man that's gentle. I'm not a gentle man. I left. So you ain't putting that on me. I ain't even
Nice.
get straight. I just said, I'm out.
Deuces.
I'm not even going back to my spot. I just left. I said, you ain't
So,
now,
so, so,
10 years ago, I'd have been a gentleman. Okay.
yeah. 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 We all, yeah, it's crazy. Let me ask you a question. So, is there a difference between standards and unrealistic expectations?
Um, very much so. Very much
Yeah.
so.
Talk about
Um,
that.
I, I'm gonna use I'm gonna use I'm gonna be very well with my own parents because they've been married almost 50 years. They're like year 47 now,
Oh,
right?
nice.
And I need about 2 minutes on this because it's really really gonna be really rich. And that is, like so I'm a father, right? I have sons and daughters, so of course I move different with my daughters, but I raise my daughters to be their own goddesses. I don't raise them to be princesses. Meaning, like daddy's little princess and take care of all. No, I'm teaching her how to be a goddess. You obviously have dependent needs upon me because I'm your father, right? But I'm teaching you how to build your own kingdom, right? Do things
Right.
and move and all that stuff. I said to say that my mom did not uh did not raise my standards of women, but she did raise my expectations of women because of the fact that and let me let me give you the example. In their marriage, I did not realize my dad had lost his job, right? But I didn't realize he
Right.
was out of work for like 2 years. That's kind of a long time to him. So, but
Yeah.
during that time, um, um, I said it backwards. She didn't she didn't my mom didn't make me unrealistic expectations. She gave me some strong standards. Let me finish the point I'm making. So for 2 years, during that time, as I reflect, only thing I remember different was my mom like would go, she was a nurse, so she'd be working nurse registry. So there were times at night where she'd be working night jobs. Like only thing I remember different,
Right.
my dad would be cooking for us maybe like once or twice a week kind of thing,
Right.
kind of like I was
Right.
like, I mean, I just think, but I didn't realize it had been almost 2 years he was out of a job, right? That was
Wow.
a long time. And but how or not but however, he still got to eat first. She never disrespected him. She never dangled that carrot over her head. Well, I'm paying all the bills here. And like
Right.
she
So until you get
maintained,
back to work,
right.
shoes, I'm
No,
wearing the big draws around here.
right. I wear the big draws around here. I saw that. Like, and so my standard form, it's like, to see a woman hold it down,
Yeah.
like I saw what that looked like. We were lower middle class. We weren't wealthy.
Right.
And that gave me an example like, yeah, now it's funny. I'm not trying to air their laundry, but my dad said it best. And they call me Max. That was my name growing up. They said, Max, I love your mom, but it's funny. He said this to her, and this is so rich, but it's such a true story.
Right.
He was in the room, I think I mean one of Christmas or Thanksgiving, whatever it was.
Right. Right. Right.
And he said, the woman you love and the woman I love are two totally completely different women. About
Hmm.
mom.
Hmm.
And I got that. Like what you see as a mother is not what I see as a wife, right?
Hmm.
And but he was also saying that and sharing that, but he shared that in real time and in front of us both to know that, how great a woman she is, that she can be two different women to two different, I guess men in her house or, people in her house and still be successful and thrive.
Yeah.
Like
Well.
so I come from that pedigree where I saw that. I'm not expecting a woman to, if I lose my job, be taken care of for 2 years, but I know what it's like for a woman to, support her man while he, lift him up while he's down, help him get
Hmm.
up. Don't conveniently kick him because you see, well, he down anyway. Let me just take him right there. It ain't gonna matter. No,
Right. Right.
that ain't no. Lift him up, right?
Right.
Um, Conversely, I mean, I got a champion, my dad who, he says it's the same guy. He said something that's so rich too, and seeing this. This is probably around their 30-year mark. He said, Max, your mom is, probably 50 pounds heavier and obviously full of gray and aesthetically doesn't look anything like the woman I married.
Mm.
Watch this though. He said, Max, however, I love her now more than I ever have my entire life. And to see it in his
Mm.
face, written all over your face, it was like it was all in here, man. Like that dude loved my mom's dirty draws, literally.
Wow.
Years, 30 years later, you know what I mean? Like I walk I walk in my parents' house and I smell the love. You know what I'm saying? I don't even just feel it. Like just they love and they went through some things, right?
And I've seen your parents too, and yeah, I peeped that as well.
Yeah,
But
man.
it also what you're saying reminds me so much, and talk about particularly how this. I mean, I don't want to say this is just in the Black community, and maybe just because I've seen a lot of stuff on social media, but you hear things like how Barack and Michelle Obama was as a young couple, right? You hear how Denzel Washington and his wife where Denzel talked about he used to work for he was a trash man, and he wanted to pursue his dream of acting. And Pauletta, I think his wife's name is Pauletta. I think Pauletta Washington, she paid for the first dates. She held down the fort. And you hear about all these other couples, how they built together. And it's almost like they expect us as bros to have it absolutely all together, like ready, set, go. Like, where's my Maybach? It's like I want to live my soft life and all this other stuff like that, right? I make money, you make money, but we live off your money. My money's from, I mean, it's all this crazy stuff you hear nowadays, right? And
Mhm.
I'm not advocating dating a man who is, doesn't have a job or doesn't have any ambition, doesn't have any motivation, doesn't have a plan. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I hear a lot. There's this one show I love. I, I think Kendra G is amazing. She has this show called Kendra G Singles, and it's interesting. She asked them, people kind of come on a show and they're looking for love, and she asked the women, said, does he have to make a certain amount of money? Almost, if there are 10 women that come on there, nine of them going to say he's got to make over six figures. And then when they clarify, what do you mean six figures? They mean like over three or $400,000. It's like, and they got like been married twice with six kids. Is amazing, bro. So the standards today is wild. So to hear something refreshing like, but your parents haven't, gone through and still sticking out together, it's like, man, what's up? Jeez. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and like so my answer is, all love isn't lost. It's just we have to be honest with ourselves, what we want
Yep.
and don't want.
Yep.
You're not a bad person if you don't want certain things, but you do have to be man enough or woman enough to be willing to absorb the consequences that come with that. If I say all the time, most people, right? Most people, if they had the choice, if they had the money to get a this is funny, a souped up Honda Accord versus 5 Series BMW. Most people will take that 5 Series. I mean, because it rides nice. I mean, like, that
Right.
5 BMW, like you forget riding, just the smell of it. It smells different than a brand new off the souped up Honda Accord, right?
Right. Right. Facts.
However, that luxury is fine. However, when that maintenance comes, when that maintenance comes, and you
That's how they really make their money too.
and,
Right. On finance and maintenance.
and it's so, if you're not willing to, like, it's funny. I know most people who drive BMW, like, I know a lot of people, younger people who drive it. It's great. They pull up, but then you may see them 3 or 4 months later, and they like, I didn't realize it's gonna cost this much.
Right.
If I'd have known that, I'd have got that Honda Accord with gladness. Well, right? You already know it's society. People in your head making you uh feel that you have to have this. You have to have that six-figure man, like you said, who's only not even 1% of the population of not black men, of men on earth. Like, not like that don't even fall. That black man percentage is even lower than that, right? But just, and it's not even a matter of settling. Like, settle what? I mean, because you could l- lose it all just that fast. So you could be a six-figure woman and get fired.
Bruh. It's
You know?
it's 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 so ridiculous. Let me ask you a question. I'm sure that the ladies need to hear this question.
Mhm.
Like love an answer to this question, I should say.
Yeah, go.
Okay. Are modern men, today's men, actually afraid of marriage or simply afraid of making the wrong choice?
Um, I what I know about men, right? And I'm going to coin there's a song, an old Prince song called "Forever My Life," and the first part of his lyrics says, "There
What
comes a
what song
time,
is what song is that?
forever in my life." It's
Yeah,
it's off the Sign of Times album. For those of you Prince fans, I think the second to last on the A side. Anyway,
gotcha.
said there comes a time in every man's life when he gets tired of fooling around, juggling hearts in a three-winged circus. Someday will drive a body down to the ground. I never imagined that love would rain on me and make me want to settle down. Right? I take that
Mm,
to say that's in every normal, heterosexual male. It, and no, it don't wait. It's not necessary until he's 40. You know what I mean? Like, he may be running
right,
the streets and stuff, but there's that unction in him, right?
right.
So he's not afraid of marriage at all. It's like you said, the wrong, making the wrong choice.
Yeah,
Like, who afraid of losing it all.
yeah,
I mean, like, and having to start all over again.
yeah.
You know, um, it's yeah. So ladies here, every man, you know, wants to find that one. Um, so the next question is, well, how do I become that one? Um, Stop making him go through 60. No, I'm messing. No,
Right,
no,
right,
I just stick it. I had to stick it in there. Bring some comic relief to it. Bring some comic relief. But on the
right, right,
serious
right,
side, though, how do I become that one? I actually said it a long time ago, early in the cast, and that is, okay, it's fair. You want me to be a gentleman, an intentional gentleman, right? And
right,
we know society has its expectations of us, right?
right.
The question I asked to the lady is that, are you willing to become that sophisticated lady? And what does that sophisticated lady look like in the context of a relationship?
Mm,
And no, it's not sitting there being pretty. I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna give you. It's not a quiz, but I know that's not on the test. That's not an answer on the test. Just
right.
sitting there, just showing up, being cute. That is not it. You know. And
Being
when,
cute can get you somewhere early on, but yeah,
yeah,
it's not sustainable.
and I hear now this is free. This is funny. This is free because
Right,
women would say, oh, I know the answer. To be his peace. So there is some truth to that.
right.
But just understand that he wants you to be his peace, but he also wants you to be his peace. You'll get that one later. Huh.
Mic drop.
He
Okay,
wants
okay.
just no,
That's hilarious. That's funny.
that's funny,
Okay,
but
so
yeah, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
really quick, we'll get to our last question. Then we want to talk here about your jazz album you got coming out. Um, is loneliness becoming the price people pay for unlimited freedom?
Ooh, that's a rich question, man. Say
Yeah,
it
isn't
again for
that
the
deep?
audience, because they just, yeah. Say it. No, I heard it, but say it again. That's such a, that's probably one of the best questions of
Like
tonight.
everybody out there, Facebook land and wherever else, YouTube, all you guys, is loneliness becoming the price people are willing to pay for unlimited freedom?
I believe they are
Yeah.
because it for right now, it's becoming a fair price because of the, I hate to say it, the return on time, right?
But see, I don't think that they are. When people want this unlimited freedom, I don't think they look at it in the context of loneliness. I think that's the ultimate dividend that they don't think about that they have to pay, and then
Right.
they start rethinking things
Mhm.
and stuff like that. I've said this lots of times. I'm very clear that a lot of beautiful women trade in their most bountiful years they could have in a marriage and a relationship, having children, things like they traded in for VIP access at the club, um, being flued out, um, having all these great times with people who have great resources and money and stuff like that. And they turn around and look around and they like, wow, you know, where did time go and so forth. I mean, I'm just going to say just we're going to keep it a buck. The number of women that I've had, and I'm sure you've gone through this as well, the number of women that I have had who have confidentially came to me and said, "Would you father a child for me?" is unreal, unreal, bruh,
Sorry,
bruh.
I am thinking my eyes too. I had to be silent on that. Like just
It's
OMG.
I mean,
And
to the
what
degree they're just about to, they see my kids, oh well, good kids, smart guy, whatever else, and so forth, and things like that, because they have traded away and they're trying to before that biological window closes. And I don't, and that is not a flex at all. If anything, I'm saying it's sad. It is hella sad that the seduction and the allure of summertime. I just wrote a article about that for the local newspaper, by the way. The seduction and the allure of summertime and all that it brings. There's only so many summers that you're gonna get. It's only so many summers you're gonna get, and pretty soon you're gonna look back and wonder what did I do with all that time. I'm telling you, folks, to wake up. So I tend to think they don't really trade in for loneliness. I think it is the ultimate byproduct of the allure and the what they cherish in terms of their unlimited freedom. But anyway, you're gonna say something. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying like just talk about how the pendulum is swung, and I'm just exposing it because it's already here. You're now seeing the shift of, those same women are going towards younger men, right? And
Yep.
the younger men are catching on. It's like, huh, my seed is a commodity,
Yep.
right? So they're making them pull. They're not thinking long term. Like once this is the whole kid, but help me out with my student loans, or what I
Right.
mean, like they're like guys actually bartering. Now, as funny as that sounds, how horrible does that sound? Here's what's most horrible or tragic about it. Where is, because like, to your point, yes, I've been approached about that.
Yep.
What about, where's the conversation of I want to be a wife
Yep.
first,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I pass it down in all,
And we're not saying this is all women, obviously. We're just
no,
not, but
no.
this certainly is not all women. But
But
we're saying there is a very interesting representation of women that fall into these categories. So,
yeah. I'm going to say this. I'm going to get this free, and ladies, pass this on. All this stuff is free, but this is really, really just some real, probably Yoda advice, right?
right.
I'm not saying women don't want to be wise. I believe they do, right? But when you're dating and this whole concept we're talking about is forget the 1 to 60, but like when you're going out and you're having conversation with men on the front end, men, we believe it or not, although maybe looking at your chest, that you put it together, say if he's more important, he would shouldn't look at my chest in the first place. Never mind, you put it together and it's down here. He's supposed to be
Right.
looking here, right? Okay, that's besides the point. If he is looking at you like front on and is
Right.
intentional about getting to know and learn you, we listen. So we hear, what are your relationship goals? Here's what we hear most of the time. What comes out of women's mouths subconsciously.
Yeah.
Listen to this, ladies. Here it is. Yeah, I want to, I want to have, a couple of kids. I want to get married and have a house. I do want everything that comes with, but the first thing, but we're listening. We don't hear, I want to be somebody's wife first.
Right.
And I want to be a mother.
Right.
In most cases, in our dealings, we interact with a lot of women, like it comes out, wife is an aspiration, but it's not first and primary, So men listen to that tone and listen to that natural timbre of, I want to be a wife first and I want to build with my husband, you
Right.
know. I'm gonna share this, and I know we got to get next, but I could only because I just had such great experience with my parents. Now mind you, my parents have been married for 47 years, I believe. And that's my stepfather. That's not my biological. He's still alive. But I'm saying to say my mom's been married to my dad for 47 years. And I'll never forget, just talk about just the accountability and her lens as a it was one random Sunday. She was a church nurse.
Right. Right.
I was about 9 years old. She probably been married to my dad maybe like 4 or 5 years at the time, whatever. And I have a sister, I have a sibling. So it was a
Right.
Sunday morning. And I forgot, we're kids doing kid stuff. Whatever we're doing, we're causing disruption in the house, whatever, silly kid stuff, whatever.
Right. Right. Right.
So she just picked a Sunday. She pulled my sister and myself into my room. I never forget, she had her nurse uniform, had her camisole. She wasn't fully dressed. She had her camisole slip, her nurse shoes, just everything ready to go. She said, I love you all. You are flesh in my flesh. I birthed you. I love you with all my heart. But I need you to understand that I'm his wife first. And she walked out the room and left.
Mm,
At 9 years old, I understood what that meant. It's not about
wow.
a competition. She just made it very clear, I'm his wife first.
Yeah.
And it's funny, this whole theme of, men talking about, well, if you were a real alpha male, you shouldn't be marrying a woman with kids. That's a whole other,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
hogwash. But I'm not gonna get into that. I'm let them have that. But
Yeah.
you can do, if we're going Bible, we those of us are Christian, we are adopted into the body of Christ. We weren't born in it. We're
Right.
born by accepting him, but we're not of the tribe of Jude blood. You know what I mean? So yeah, step
I mean,
parents is
shoot,
very good.
Look, Jesus is from a blended family, right?
Jude
Because
from blood of
Joseph
the
wasn't
family.
his biological dad.
Yeah.
Shoots.
And King of the Jews by way of Joseph, not
Yep.
by Mary. That's a whole other conversation. But
Yeah, the
the
whole
point of it is making the point of blended family.
yeah, yeah,
Blended family is how our salvation was begat. I
yeah,
know I ain't trying to put it overtone, but I'm just giving it all context of just, yeah, like people who want to see each other win. Help me win. If you want me to be your man, help me win.
right,
Don't be my competition.
right,
I want to help
right,
you win. Anyway.
bruh, no, for real, for real. Okay, so before we wrap up, I want to know, it's blowing up over here on Facebook. So, my homegirl, Kim Harrison, back in Flint, Michigan, she said, when you talk about that whole situation about that drink and the girl trying to get you to buy other folks' drink, she's like, "Oh, I would have ran too." So she's right with that.
Yeah.
I see good old Cuzzo from St. Louis, my boy uh Tyrus Jones, he's on here too. Tyrus Portia Jones, I should say. So I'm curious, anybody got any questions, particularly here on Zoom? Look, you guys, y'all came in here and represent. So, Crystal, anybody, you guys got a question or a comment or anything like you want to share before we get ready to wrap up here? Anybody on Facebook got a question or a comment? Nada? Okay, we got a comment. Let's see. What was that? Or maybe don't. Okay. I guess not. So I guess they're good. So, but real quick, we know you a math genius. We know you're a social commentator. We know that you have your hands on the pulse of the dating scene, but you're also an accomplished musician. And so you're working on a smooth jazz album. Tell us about your new project and what inspires your music. Talk to us, bro.
Yeah, so I'll just FYI, my social media is the same as plug as everything's at Mariel Author. Mariel Author on IG, Mariel Mar hyphen L Author Facebook.
Right.
Um, so it'll be on media portals. It'll be as Mariel, some musician and singer and stuff. Um, but I also want to plug prior to that, I actually wrote books. I actually have a series, a trilogy on everything a woman wants to hear. First thing in the morning, all day, and late night. That's at www.everythingwomanwantstohear.com. So get your copy there, and it's all on um, Kindle portals and everything. You can get an ebook as well too. Um, so I have that, but then yeah, the smooth jazz. So it's been a three decades in the making. It'll be out hopefully by the end of summer. I'm actually like that's my D-Day. And just yeah, it's just smooth jazz. I've always wanted to do it. It's just life. They say life is lifing, but we finally have a window of opportunity to uh, put that out. Yeah, so look
So,
for
so if you were to sort of compare your style, what would you be a blend of? Like Kim with a little bit of Boney James with I don't know what.
I would say probably so because I'm gonna be singing on a couple of tunes.
Okay.
Mixed between like Joe and Maxwell. And then as far as and a little Joe
Joe and Maxwell, that's what's up.
yeah, and a little Joe sample. Like Joe sample was my influence. I
Okay.
like him a lot. So those of you who know of him, there's tons of it's smooth jazz. It's not, straight ahead jazz. And what smooth jazz is basically is instrumental R&B. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
It's not really jazz.
Exactly. Yeah, just
It's,
shut
it's,
up. We're just gonna play the music, right?
you don't
Yeah,
play music, it's ding,
essentially.
ding, 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 ding on top.
Right,
But,
right, right.
yeah, so, I mean, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm not trying to be, if it sells itself, hallelujah, this is more for completion. Like, I mean, a lot of times we get schooling for completion. Of course, it ultimately will open up other doors, but what I love about, my life and then obviously about technology in today's times, people aren't making money off of albums and music anyway, the way they used to, so there's
Right.
not I do have a job. I actually have several jobs, so I'm not bound to not work. I had that conversation with my son recently, like just, we kids are first and, we have to work 3 or 4 jobs to take care of you. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But how you show your gratitude, right?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So before we get out of here, Marl, just give us take about 30 seconds and what message would you want to leave with everyone before we get out of here?
We've been saying the same thing over and over again that on both sides, date or get in pursue relationships with intentionality and be fair to yourself first. Also after that, be fair to the other person. Ladies, if if you're with a guy and you think he's nice, but it's not about sex, but if you don't see anything romantic with him, don't drag him out on 2 or 3 dates and say it's not going to work out because he treats you real nice.
Right.
Conversely, men, If all you do,
Placeholder.
yeah, he's older, yeah. Conversely, men, if you want to hit it and quit it, say that. Say I just want to get to know you until you say yes. Now she may never say yes once you tell her that.
Or
Give
how
her,
about don't hit it and quit it? How about that? How about
yeah.
that? Why we start normalizing not hitting and quitting women? Like, we're not interested. Let's leave them alone. How about that? How about that?
And that's the point I'm making. Like, yeah, and if you're not, I'm saying like going to attention, like, yeah, if you not about that, yeah, just leave them alone altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't say there are other portals, but yeah, you don't have to. Here's how I conclude it. Um, you don't have to lie to kick it, Chris, but Christina, you don't have to lie for Chris to stay either. And that's fair.
Yeah.
Let's be fair and honest on both sides because it'll save a lot of hurt and heartache and heartbreak on both sides.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Big round of applause for Mar L in the house. Want to thank for breaking down the 1 to 60 rot. That stands for the ratio of time. The 1 to 60 rot. That's what's up. Well, thank everybody for joining us here on Facebook Live, here on Zoom, and out there in YouTube land and all over where you get your podcasts. This is Dr. Kerry Neal, and here on Urban Birds, we're always talking about interesting, provocative subjects in the landscape of dating relationship, because we want you to make a great decision so that you can have a phenomenal life with someone who loves you and you can return the love back to that person. But so until next time, I would thank you for listening and joining us. Everyone have a good night.
See everybody later.